I went on a trip to Las Vegas last year, and when I got there, I got to shoot some very iconic Escape from Tarkov weapons. So in this video, I'm essentially just going to show you some of that footage, and I'm also going to explain to you how the guns felt as I was shooting them. There's also a little bonus at the end of this video where I shoot the iconic M1 Garand, the legendary World War II rifle, just because I'm a big World War II historian. I love history, and I had to shoot that thing. The first gun we're going to be going with is the USP-45, and I'll also say this is my first time shooting anything, so I did not know what to expect here. At first I thought the pistols wouldn't feel like much, you know, just due to their size and all, but honestly I was extremely surprised with the recoil of the USP. I mean, you really do feel a lot in the wrist after every trigger pull. And as we get into the rifles in this video, I really started to realize the effect or the ergonomic effect that rifles have over pistols. Like, the rifles were much easier to shoot as a new shooter, I guess, than the pistol was. Speaking of rifles, the next gun we're going to be shooting is the SR-25. So we go from a little boy to one of the biggest boys. The SR-25 also being one of my favorite guns in Escape from Tarkov. I loved using it in that game, and I really enjoyed using it here at the range as well. So I'm going to let you enjoy these last few pistol shots, and we're soon going to get right into the SR-25.
Way worse kick to this, so. Okay. Alright, man, just throw with it, just like this. Nice little steady squeeze, get that good feel for it, and you got it, right?
Now, he was not lying at all when he said this thing had more kick. But in a weird way, it was still easier to fire than the pistol, at least controllably, for me, because the pushing back on your shoulder was much easier to aim with than the pushing on your wrist that a pistol would have. But man, honestly, did the SR-25 just feel like an artillery cannon whenever I shot this thing. Like, no kidding. I really felt this one in the shoulder, even with the bipod down. I don't know how much that helps with recoil on the pushback, but I figured the bipod would probably help a little bit. Apart from that, though, I really liked shooting this thing. It was so cool, such an awesome gun to use, and I would love to shoot this thing again. Now we move on to the PP-19, a very good early game gun in Escape from Tarkov, and also the very first gun I ever went full auto on. And one of the reasons why I was so confident enough to do that is because honestly this thing felt like a feather. It was very easy to control. It felt like there was little to no recoil whatsoever, and it was very satisfying to shoot. I feel like if I had an hour or so with this thing, I could get pretty accurate with the automatic fire, at least at a range like this. And honestly, I am really hoping now with the new recoil system that Tarkov is brewing, we get to see some of the guns feeling more like how they actually do in real life, because this, again, was just like a feather, man. It was so easy to control this thing, way easier than expected. And in fact, that's actually going to be the case for the next gun we're going to be shooting, which is the HK-416. So enjoy these last few rounds on the PP-19, and I'll see you over there. That one was definitely like that one. It does, like, there's so much less, like, it's so much more controllable than the SR-25 was. The SR-25 had, you know, a significant amount of power to it. I think the HK-416 actually surprised me the most out of any of the guns I shot, just because of how controllable this gun was. I mean, it almost felt very similar, about 80% of the way, to the PP19. The recoil was extremely low, and shooting this for the first time, I was confident enough to switch this thing into fully automatic, and had a blast doing it. I'm very curious to see how the M4 compares to the HK416. Maybe some of you with experience can let me know in the YouTube comments. But man, I gotta say, 5.56 felt extremely smooth, almost as smooth as the PP19 shooting 9mm. I can definitely understand how 5.56 has become such a standardized round with how good this felt. And finally, we move on to the M1 Garand, and man, I gotta say, it was such an experience just to shoot, just to experience a part of history. The semi-automatic nature of it allowed the Allies to put out a good line of fire, much more than the Axis counterparts at the time. For the most part, there were some weapons that they had that were semi-automatic, and just the outright reliability of this thing, I was definitely a fan. I was definitely a fan. Now, as far as performance goes, the 30-06 round, which the M1 Garand uses, is very similar to the 7.6251 round that the SR25 shoots. However, the 30-06, I believe, is slightly bigger, has a slightly bigger mass to it, but for whatever reason, it felt much smoother. The recoil on my shoulder with this thing actually felt less than the SR25 did. I'm not sure why that is, but that's just what it felt like to me. In any case, the rifle felt very good to shoot, and the iconic ping when you shoot your last round when the mag ejects itself is just music to my ears as someone who enjoys history. I also have to thank the range guy here, as he was essentially standing behind me blocking the spent cartridges from flying out and hitting my camera guy. As you can see here, the M1 ejects cartridges or rounds in a very funny way. It shoots out pretty quickly, you know, to your right and behind you. So you gotta be careful when shooting this gun. Although you really should be careful shooting anything, to be honest. I also have to give a special shout out to the Browning machine gun on my right, as that thing looked absolutely insane. And if I ever come back to this range, I would definitely want to try my hand at shooting something like that. Alright, so it's time for me to be quiet now so you all can enjoy the last magazine of the M1 Garand here. And I'll see you just in a little bit when we get to my bullet chart.
I mean, the SR was definitely the one where it's like, every time I pulled that trigger, I felt it. Oh, look at that. Not too bad for the first time at it. I don't know what happened there, but... those little guys? Don't worry about those little guys. Nice done, man. Good. But,
that's a kill right there.
I think he damaged. I'll take that. Thank you so much.
1, 2, 3.
Good shot, though, man. You did good. Wow.
Look at that.
Yeah, I was really good.
Close it down for a second. Turn it around.
This is
Well, that is just about it for my range video today. I hope you enjoyed this video and maybe you got to see some of your favorite Tarkov guns in action. And I look forward to seeing you in the next one. Thanks for watching.